the LTI had crane jacks. So the truck, he said, literally came up off with the weight of the front of the building, hitting and went back down. So I lived with that every day.
Yeah.
You just couldn't get in. But,
That's all right. That's all right.
And then I get emotional after all these years.
Yeah.
Welcome to The Firehouse, the show dedicated to the brave men and women who serve our
Ready to get this
community.
thing
Yes,
going?
sir.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Firehouse on WRHU 88.7 FM. I am your host, Chris Moses, and today, are y'all ready? Today, sitting in the firehouse with me is my boy, Rob Hendry. What is going on?
Sir, good to be here. Thank you
for coming out. Thank you for
having
coming
me.
out. So, listen, you are like, you're a legend. You know it. You and your brother, the Hendry.
I'm the other Hendry.
You're the other Hendry. Y'all are legends. And as soon as I say the name, everybody's going to know. Everybody already knows. I know everybody's going to be waiting to hear everything that you got to say. But for my listeners that don't know, tell them your name, tell them the department that you're in, the company you're in, and how long you've been in.
Rob Hendry.
All right.
I'm with Hempstead now.
Okay.
I'm a 35-year member of Harper Hook and Ladder Company number 1.
Okay.
Currently captain and treasurer. I've been through all the offices in the company.
Okay.
I've worked for the village for 32 years, 27 of them as a cop
Okay.
for the Hempstead Police. 23 of those years, I was a field training officer teaching cops how to cop
Okay.
and basically get through stuff.
Wow.
So
okay.
it was.
We got to talk about that because I want to know how that
I've
is.
taken a lot of them into fires and their first fires too. Yeah, I'm on a lot of department committees, the training, the investigating.
Okay.
So most of the time, the new members coming in know me because they didn't see me when they turned in the application. They definitely see me when we do the training.
Yeah.
I also left Hempstead for a little while. I had some spinal injuries.
Okay.
After my recovery, I was living in Huntington. I joined Greenlawn.
Okay.
So I had a short stay in Greenlawn. Met a lot of nice people out
That's
there
right.
that took me
That's
under
right.
their wing. And then, increased my certifications
There you
and
go. Learn
with
more,
them.
learn more.
And they taught me a lot. And I came back to Hempstead. And I'm back here and I'm
Okay.
in the company.
Yeah.
And
So in a whole, how much in the fire service in a whole? How many years?
well, 35 because when I left Hempstead, what Truck One does for certain members, they can make you an honorary member.
Okay.
So even though I wasn't actively running into fires,
Yeah.
I was still, especially through work or like when stuff was going on, I was still helping the company.
Still, yeah.
Even if it was, we had a big fire and there was an explosion on Perry Street a while ago. And me and my son, I was picking him up from school. We stopped at a pizza place. We brought a whole bunch of pies and we dropped it because it was an extended operation.
Yeah, so
People
the
were
guys
doing
got
everything.
stuff,
Yeah, and we just,
Yeah. Take
backing
care.
the company
take care of
up.
the guys. That's it.
Everybody
Take care of
does
the
their
guys. All right. So let's start from the beginning. All right. So I'm going to post some pictures as we go
Yes.
along because I have a bit of a timeline here, right? So I got this picture here. Let's start here. So this looks like a beginning picture here.
this is how
picture
we
here.
grew
So
up.
I'm going to post it up here for everybody to see.
Right.
But this right here. So this looks like the beginning. So with this picture, let's start with the beginning. What makes you want to be a firefighter? Like what happens? How does that come in? You don't just want to run into burning buildings all of a sudden.
Well, you know what? We grew up in the firehouse.
Okay.
My father was a 54-year member
All right.
and an ex-chief from Truck One
Okay.
and the fire department. And we grew up with all the people he surrounded us with. Our mentors were all walks of life, but the common thing was the fire department.
There you go.
We grew up in the fire department, and as you can see, there's other pictures there. Like we were the house on the block when the kids came to play.
There you
We
go.
played firefighter, and we had wagons set up. We had one is a ladder truck where we had a wooden ladder we made.
Okay, I'm gonna post some of these pictures right up here. I see them.
And I ran into the neighbor the other day, and he remembers when we were growing up, there's pictures. All the kids in the neighborhood would be on the front lawn. Everybody would have something on, a helmet or a turnout coat.
Yep.
We used to get all the old equipment. We had cracked nozzles, broken radios. Like for us, it was great because we had real firefighting equipment.
So talking about that, looking at this picture right here.
Yeah. Charlie let me be the officer that day. So I had my white hat on the thing. Charlie's on the nozzle. That's Doug, my next door neighbor Douglas that I was talking to, holding the extinguisher. I think Tony Kalinik's over in the side.
Right over here.
We had the whole crew. Like everybody would come to the house, and if we were playing on the front lawn,
I love this.
You know,
he said,
like
Charlie let me be the officer that day.
Yeah, he's, you know, but we had one wagon had like a 50-foot length of hose. Yep. We would wrap the hydrant, and you know, like we would have the nozzle. Yeah, and obviously the officers packing hose, so you know. But yeah, we would have the hose. We'd have it stretched down the block. The neighbors would, you know, like I said, all the kids in the block when we played firemen, they had like legit, like old fire gear that we would have on. There's a bunch of pictures in there. So I mean, just growing up, that's how we were.
That's how you were. And so you almost like I could say born into this.
Yeah,
like you were born into this.
My mother was part of the ladies auxiliary.
Okay.
And we would go to fires, and we would see Dad, and we would. I mean, there's pictures of my father in there.
Right.
Yeah, that's my father. That was one of our picnics. Yeah. Yep. And see, Charlie's back to being the officer. But you know, it just. Like that was the picnics. We would run around with the other kids, the other ones in the firehouse. And, you know, we played firemen. And then if there was, you know, back then they would average 40, 50 working fires a year. So
this is funny because this right here, this is the chief truck.
Right. That was when my father was chief. Right. That was a whole different story.
A whole different thing.
Yeah.
Chief trucks. It was a chief car.
Yeah, that was, and you know, Dad had it loaded because we were both at that time we were both in the fire service. So there were 3 sets of gear in the back of that trunk. That trunk was, you know, deep because you had 3 sets of gear. You had 2 Scott packs. You had tools. Wow. And like Charlie was saying that Dad would leave the house, and one of our friends down the block, James, lived next door. We were at 17. He lived at 70. You know, Charlie was on the block too, and my father would do the loop around Cliff, and he would pick up James down the block, or James would start walking up the block, and he would jump. We would have a full crew in the Chief's car. And like we'd either drop somebody off to get the truck at headquarters, and one of us would take the truck, and then the other ones would go, you know, to the scene with my father, and like we would have our gear, and we would start to work. We'd have at least 2 Scott packs in the car. Okay. So sometimes, you know, if my father wasn't going in and he was taking command, me and James or me and Charlie we'd have packs. We'd be able to, you know, a couple of tools. And we'd be able to go in and take care of stuff.
Yeah, so you got to respond with Dad. Like, that's amazing. I love that. I love that. I love it. So basically, you were born into this.
Yes.
You and your brother born into this. This is where you were going, no matter what. So there was no choice of I may go to another department. You were going to Hempstead.
No,
and you were going to Truck 1 in Hempstead.
Right. And even when we were in the juniors, that was a question because we lived right on the border of Uniondale. Yeah. So we were in. I was only in the juniors for like 2 years.
So now, was it because Hempstead didn't have juniors yet?
Yes, Hempstead did not have juniors,
and they allowed people because you were right there on that border line to come over. Okay.
Yes. Okay. And I mean, plus just knowing, like through the fire service, you know, we're in the Uniondale School District, so we're right there. Yeah, you're right there. Yeah. So and then we had the option when we turned 18 that we probably could have joined
Uniondale or Hempstead, but Dad is in Hempstead.
No, there was no question.
It was no question.
It was Hempstead, and it was Truck 1.
Live if you decided to come over to Uniondale and not come over to him. Right. So that is cool. I love that. I love it. So, you know what? I mean, this is probably what everybody is waiting for. Let's just get right into it. We need some stories, man.
Well, before we start the stories, I just want to throw some love out there. Yes. We just lost 64-year member Richie Kane from Reliance Engine Company 3. Him and his son, great firefighters. His son, I'm going to mention again with one of the other stories. But we were always in a truck company. Back then when I started, we would open roofs all the time. We would cut holes. Although they were in the engine company, they were roofers by trade. Okay. They would be on the roof with us, and they would be just as comfortable. And you know, rest in peace, Richie. Job, so right. He knew, and you felt at ease because he knew roofs. He knew if something didn't feel right. He didn't know, like he could pretty much eyeball where we were going to do our cuts from just looking at the way the roof was. Yes. And a few guys, Chief Bruce Tilden from the Green Lawn Fire Department, he was a mentor to me. he's a great guy. Took me under his wing
Yeah.
when I was out there. And then another couple of guys. Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
No, that's all right.
I got to bring my guys.
Yeah.
I'm online. Everybody's going to be.
That's right.
Ron Marjorie and Richie B from West Hempstead both got their 50 years, the same as Chief Bruce Tilden. All of these guys, they broke the trail for the rest of us. My bio wouldn't be anything without guys like this that, you know, cut the way. Same thing. You're here. I mean, there's guys in Uniondale that, I mean, we could go on a whole podcast just dropping names of all of these guys that helped us out over the years.
And
right? I mean,
and all of them.
The guys from Brookside, it's just, when we used to do trainings there, I went to school with Terry Canham's sister, so I knew, and it snowballs because I went to, Cheech was on the podcast. She went to school with me. So it was like anything else. Cheech took care of us because he knew me from the fire department. You know, his sister always called me troublemaker because I was, what are you doing? Like I would keep an eye on, it was, now she has a big brother, which is what the fire service is. Like you born into it and then everybody is, you know.
Everyone becomes family.
Everyone
becomes family.
I mean, you might have your fights, your disagreements, but it's family.
Richie Kane, right? So shout out to
Richie
his family. Kane. Shout out to everything, you know. My condolences, and you know what, one thing that you'll get with the fire department is your family is there for you. So, you know, you just reach out, you know, to the family of, you know, Richie Kane, just reach out to, you know, the fire department. They will take care of you. So,
and that's just, you can't, I mean, you've been in it. People who haven't been in it, it's, you know,
it's it. Once it's there, it's there. Like it's a part of your life. Whether you leave, whether you go away, whatever happens, it's still a part of your life. It's still
my era was, you know, with James Gardner was the mayor for the longest time, and Chief Russo was our police chief, and Bobby Grams was one of our chiefs. And it was like, if you went anywhere to any event with these guys, you were their guy. And like you got introduced, hey, this is one of my guys. And like you, over the years, you meet all kinds of politicians, all kinds of, and it makes you feel good that, you know, that's how you're in. And like I said, I bring these guys here, and the stories that I bring is not just me, it's my guys. And bringing them
that you're bringing them to, that you're bringing. So, you know what? I'm glad we stopped, because before we get into the stories, let's keep going through like the evolution. So you're now in Hempstead. You did the juniors. You're in Hempstead. Did you go right into leadership roles in Hempstead first before you left to go to Green?
Yes.
Okay. So what made you want to get into the leadership? Is that more just like that was the next step, or?
That was always the step. Like you got into the way it was and the way we were raised. We were in the Firehouse. We were doing.
At Ladder Suite, they're transforming emergency services with smart, easy-to-use software built by first responders for first responders. Their fully integrated CAD and RMS solution are designed around real-world operations because no two agencies are the same. That's why Ladder Suite is flexible, customizable, and built to fit your needs. Hosted on secure, redundant cloud services, their platform delivers reliability you can count on when it matters most. And with a dedicated support representative for every agency, they're with you from onboarding to daily operations. Ladder Suite, built for the mission. And if you head over to their Instagram, drop a comment and let them know that the Firehouse on WRHU 88.7 FM.
That was always the step. Like you got into the way it was and the way we were raised. We were in the Firehouse. We were doing, if they were doing drills on Sundays, like even though we were younger, I mean, and you know, it's not politically correct now, but when we were younger and we were little kids, they'd get an automatic alarm, and we rode on the snorkel with my father to the call. So it's like we had that experience of, you know, being a little kid and actually riding to, you know, it wasn't a major call. Major calls, if it sounded like it was going to be the work, obviously you did not get on, but it was a different, you know, different time. And, you know, growing up, your mentors were all firemen, cops, like people in life would just look out for you. At 16, we were going to Firehouse parties and we were going to everything, and everybody just looked out for you. Like you were their kid, which is what I try and park on some of these young guys.
On the new ones. So
we got guys in the company who have kids in the company, and you know, I'm harder on them because I know their parents. I know and sometimes they need that push
to try to keep going.
Yeah.
So I just want to kind of paint a picture here for the audience. So you go in as lieutenant. Who's lieutenant first, Charlie or you?
Charlie
So
got in.
Lieutenant?
Charlie got in a year and a half.
Before. Are y'all ever in office together?
Yes, we.
No, that must be the coolest thing ever.
The way it was is you would start out. You would legit you went through the office. You went through secretary, and then after you were secretary a couple of years, you'd move up to when you would run for lieutenant, and then you would run for captain.
Okay.
I did Charlie was, by the time I got in, Charlie was lieutenant already.
Okay.
So then after a few years, Charlie was lieutenant, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to run. And I think the first year we lost. He ran for captain and I ran for lieutenant. We lost. Okay. But then the next year, we got all our ducks in a row. Okay. It's like anything else. You don't get discouraged. You dust it off. You talk to everybody. You listen to.
Tell them that
you go on the Mending Fences campaign.
That's right.
You fix what you have to fix. And then the next year, Charlie went in as lieutenant. I stayed as secretary for a while. And then when he moved up to captain, I moved up as lieutenant.
Okay.
And then we were in office as captain, lieutenant for like 5 years.
Wow.
And I told him, I was like, it's my turn. I got to be captain once.
Yeah.
I was like, and then you can have it back. So that was like in 94-ish.
Okay.
And it just so happened it was the same year. My father was top chief.
So your father was chief?
My father was chief.
So your
in the
father's
90s,
chief.
94 and 95.
Charlie's captain, you're lieutenant.
Well, my father was chief of the department. I was captain. Charlie was lieutenant.
And Charlie was lieutenant. Y'all kind of switched.
Right.
So now, where's everybody living at this moment?
I'm still living in the house, and my brother's 2 houses away on Cliff.
All right. So I got to ask the question. Who's getting to the firehouse first, man? Who's getting there first?
It all depends with our work schedules.
Okay.
Because at that time I was I think I was working 9 to 5s, and then Charlie was working for the village too. Okay. So at night it really wasn't because we were home. So usually if it was something and Dad had the chief's car, we would all meet at the car and then we'd go get the truck. Yeah.
Y'all could pretty much roll a rig by yourselves at this moment and go do that. Has there ever been a time where it's just y'all three?
There have been times where it was just me and Charlie, and I mean in Hempstead obviously we roll differently than most departments.
You have your gear in the car.
You have your gear in the car. You can go to the scene, and the same as if you go to the firehouse. You can roll chauffeur only.
Okay.
So
how does that work? Just for our listeners, I'm in Uniondale, so we don't do that, right?
Right.
How does that work? Is there any time where there's a bunch of people at the scene and there's no rig?
Yes. It happens. It happens. For accountability reasons, it's, for anybody that does command, it's a nightmare because you don't know who's
gonna bring.
Correct. And but there's times when we don't have as many village workers as we used to. Okay. But back in the day, we used to have a lot of village workers. So you'd pull up to a scene and there'd be the green village trucks parked all over the place, street sweepers. Mm-hmm. Now we still have some guys. But you get a lot of people that go, that, younger guys that aren't drivers will go to the scene. So you can roll up and you have people there. So that's I know that's cool. So you always have that. I always felt like that was always a good thing to have that extra set of gear in your car. It kind of cuts down response time, right? Because you're able to go right there. It does. Because even when I was in Greenlawn, you didn't keep your gear in your car. You had to keep it in the firehouse.
Yes.
So
which most firehouses.
Oh, right, because you're responding on the truck.
Yeah.
The only time that if it was obviously on your block, then you could go, but the bad side is you most likely won't have gear. I did have a call when I was living out there, and it was literally across the street. Okay. So I went and walked across the street. So when the truck pulls up and the chief pulls up, it's like, oh, this isn't your house. And I'm like, no, I live at the other. I was like, but this is my neighbor. And it's like, oh, okay.
So let me ask you a question, because you were in, a detective, right?
No, I worked for them.
You worked for the, explain that a little bit, right? Because I know you were in the PD, right? So explain how you said at first you worked with the detectives and then you went that route. So I guess this is a 2-part question of, why did you go the PD route instead of the FD route? Right. What made you go, PD
Right.
instead of FD?
And
So,
just like your
for
boy,
a career.
just like your boy Sean Hendrickson said,
Yeah.
my parents or my father always hit us with civil service and take every test you can take.
That's right.
Me and Charlie both took the 92 FDNY test. He had 100 and 100. I had a 98 on the written and 100 on the physical.
Okay.
I didn't get called.
Wow.
So it was just that much of so we took Nassau County police test in 94.
Okay.
I ended up getting hired in 97 from that.
Okay.
But prior to that, I worked for the village. So I was a civilian employee in the police department, like a brownie.
Okay.
So I started out there and I worked the street for a couple of years. Then I ended up dispatching for a couple of years. And then an opening came to be the secretary for the detectives. So I was like, all right. And they asked me to do it. And I knew a lot of those guys, some of the guys from the fire department.
Yeah.
Ricky Smith from Ladder 2 was one of the detectives in there. So I knew all of these guys. Plus a lot of them were friends with my father. So they put me in that position. I didn't have to wear a uniform anymore. I could have facial hair.
Yeah.
It was a 9 to 5. And, my boss at the time, Lieutenant Strand, like I said, any big jobs that we had, I would just let him, hey, there was a building collapse. There was this, there was that. And he'd be like, all right, give me 5 minutes. I'm going to, get in the car. And he would take me to the scene, or I would get in my car, meet the truck at the scene. Yeah. It was, like being a paid fireman almost, where you could go to anything heavy. And, at that time, Chief Russo, who was an ex-chief from the fire department and fire chief, he had no problem, major incidents, you going and helping out.
There you go.
Because you're still working for the village. Yeah. You're still protecting.
You talk about Russ. So that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it just, that's just that whole sense of community that they build into you.
Okay. I love it. All right. So before we get, I know we got to get to the stories, but before you get to the stories, I want to talk a little bit about the things that you brought, right?
Yes.
So let's first look at the thing that's right here, right in front of you. So tell me a little bit about that.
This is the John Shaw Award in Green Lawn. They give out their awards, and like most fire departments, if it's named after somebody, they did a lot for the department.
Yes.
This is like the MVP.
Okay.
John Shaw was a city firefighter who passed away before his time.
Okay.
He was involved with the softball. He was involved, he's an active member. He was beloved by all. This, I keep getting emotional. But
That's all right.
This hung in my office, and it hangs in my garage with all my other awards and stuff. It's a big one to me because they recognize me for that. Yeah.
Congratulations on that. And then we have this one over here, which I think we can see from that camera. So this one that's sitting right here behind the fire extinguisher. What's that
was
one?
a letter that was written to Chief Russo. And the Hempstead Police. Back in '99, I got a call for a child not breathing.
Okay.
Went into a house on Mead Street, and Asian family, grandma hands me a baby that's blue, not breathing. She can't speak English, and she just hands me the baby. So I took him into the bathroom. He had a febrile seizure, and he was aspirating. So I took him into the bathroom. I started running the water. I cleared his airway. Was able to pat him on the back and get him to spit up the rest. He started breathing again, and then just started cooling him down. And that was the letter his mom sent to the precinct. Wow. And she accompanied it with 10 tickets to a Mets game.
Wow.
And I told her, I said, I can't take this. I'm like, you can't, you're doing your job.
Doing my job.
You can't take it. So I brought it to the Firehouse. You remember Les Rossell?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And, Les, I said to him, you guys are big, just give it to the guys in the company. He was in our sister company, Engine 2. Mm-hmm. And I said, there's 10 tickets here. I'm like, give it to the guys, give it to your fan. Enjoy the game. Yeah. I was like, it was given to me, but I can't accept it.
I can't accept it.
And they had a good time. They told me they had good seats.
That's good.
So, I was happy that they could use it, Wow. Like I said, you got to take care of your guys.
That's right. And I think that's sometimes what's lacking kind of now as things have changed. It's that family, that taking care of our own. That, we're kind of losing that a little bit. So we got to bring this back.
You got to go to bat for your guys. It's not right.
Got to start bringing those things back. All right. So let's get into some stories. What you got for me, Rob?
Well, I had some stuff on there, and there's actually in '94 when we were transitioning from, I was going from lieutenant to captain. I think it was right in the transition.
You know what? I'll give it to you. You look at the picture.
That was the one with Dad, but
you look at the picture and then tell me the story of it.
Yeah. That's exactly why we brought the pictures, or it didn't happen. We were talking about this. This is a building fire we went to on Front Street. Abandoned building. Homeless were in there. They started a fire.
Okay.
It was going. The front of the building, as you can see the fire in the window there, it was me, Charlie, and Eddie Campus, which was another one of our hardcore guys in the company. At the time, we had the LTI at this time, which was the 102-foot area ladder.
Okay.
And we are using both of the deck guns. We're, shooting into the loft. We didn't realize the building was starting to collapse.
Wow.
If you switch to the next picture, you can see the building is actually collapsing into the bucket.
Oh, wow. Let's just back up. When you realize that it's about to start to collapse, what is going through your brain at this moment?
Nothing, because we didn't know. It happened.
You didn't even know.
It literally happened. So I'm not sure. I have to give credit to either Richie Quick or Bill. I forget which guy took these pictures, but he saw something on the ground and started taking pictures. Up in the buckets and the conditions, we had no.
So where were you? Are you in the bucket?
I'm in the bucket. It's me, Charlie, and Eddie Campus. Eddie Campus is in the middle. Me and Charlie are on the right and left.
I see it. Yep, I see it.
So the whole front of the building came off and hit the bucket and filled the bucket with bricks. So not only that, but Dad was on the turntable.
Wow.
It had the LTI had crane jacks. So the truck, he said, literally came up off with the weight of the front of the building, hitting and went back down. So of course, 10 years came off of his life.
Right there.
Right there.
My son's is up
Correct.
in there.
So at that point, anytime a major incident happens, fire operations pretty much shut down. Yep. He brought the bucket down, and if you swipe over, you can see they landed the bucket, and then they started taking us out of the bucket.
Taking you out of the bucket.
And then,
right. This was the one right over the car.
Correct.
There you go.
And then you can see everybody just swarm the bucket. They were making sure
that you all were okay.
Right. I mean, we were all bumped and bruised up, but you know what? We were trying to go back, and we were like, all right, it fell down. Let's just go back in. And
so
then
let's just back up a little bit. So when it collapsed, y'all are all three in the bucket. The bricks are basically hitting you. Does everybody kind of move over? There's really nowhere to go. A bucket is small. So it's just like boom, 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 boom.
The way it happened, it came down in one piece and collapsed onto us. And I guess when it hit the bucket, it started to break up. And then it just kind of covered us with bricks.
Wow.
And I guess because me and Charlie were on the outsides, we kind of got pushed out a little bit, where Eddie took a brunt of it. And, he luckily, he wasn't seriously injured, but my father made all of us go. We had to go to the hospital, get checked out. We weren't. He didn't want to have to answer to Mom when he got home what happened to the kids. But
talking about that of how Mom felt like watching all of her boys go out for a call. I can imagine.
My aunt, my father's sister, had told us in the beginning when we were getting of age to join the fire department that if my parents didn't sign the application, her and my grandmother would. Just, we were going into it whether, my parents liked it or not. But Mom was always good. There's actually a picture on there where if you see my father in a white coat, we were at a fire on Clinton Street.
Is this, not this one. How about that?
No, that was another one we could talk about in a minute. But it'd be the white coat at the payphone. Is a picture of my father on Clinton Street, and he made 2 calls. One was the fire alarm to give him an update. That was 90s firefighting in a nutshell.
Right here. This one right here.
Yes.
Okay.
90s firefighting right there in a nutshell. It's Dad calling
That's
fire
so
alarm
funny. He's
to
at
give
a
him.
payphone.
He would always have change in his pockets.
I was about to say, he had the quarters on him.
Yep. We were at a commercial building fire. He calls up and he tells fire alarm, gives him the conditions and everything.
Okay.
And then the second call is he called my mom and he says, look, we're going to be a while. It was a working fire and everybody's okay. And
that is, if that's not a husband right there.
Right. And
first call, let him know, hey, signal 10, we got this going right now. and now, hey, honey, we're not coming home right now. We got a lot to go there.
And I was going to have you come down to the Firehouse.
That's a great picture.
It was it was either Bill Bennett or Richie Quick. Those two guys were like staples on the scene back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's hanging in the Firehouse too with my father's memorial. But yeah, and mom would just like, she's kind of like my wife now. It's like she hears the story, she goes to the award ceremony, she kind of half listens, and she knows,
stress.
She doesn't want
stress. I know the stress. Right. All right, so let's keep going with these stories. I'm gonna let you pick it, and you talk to me about them.
So we had that one with the collapse. Luckily, everybody
was fine with that.
This fire right here.
Here we go.
Was
all right. Court. This is in Fire News, it looks like, right?
That's on Newsday.
Oh, that's on Newsday.
Front cover of Newsday. Okay. It was like 6 o'clock in the evening. Back in '94 again. My father had a pretty busy year. This was probably the worst fire I've ever been to.
Okay.
5 kids under the age of 7 all perished.
Wow.
If you just swipe, you'll see. Well, you saw the picture, and it has all the ladders to the window. I drove to that call, truck 1. At that time, we had American and France, 100-foot. The wires were right in front of the house, so we couldn't ladder the building. Okay. But as you can see, every truck that was at that scene, we threw ladders because we had 5 kids trapped.
Wow.
I made the mistake of giving up my gear to a guy because I drove, so I didn't have my gear on when I was throwing ladders.
Okay.
Member comes up to the scene, I need gear. I gave him my gear. To this day, I will never do that to another person just because he got up to the top of a ladder. He says, I can see a kid. I can't get to the kid. Oh. And I live with that every day.
Yeah.
You just couldn't get in. But,
that's all right.
And then I get emotional after all these years.
Yeah.
But you can see that picture of Charlie. He ended up grabbing one of the kids. Okay. Unfortunately, she didn't make it. That picture is burned into my
memory
mind. Yeah. And the other one was Mike Kane, whose father passed. He was one of my father's assistant chiefs, and he made a grab also. Unfortunately, same thing. We had guys that were doing heroic stuff. We had, I think, 5 people left with burns because they were trying to push the envelope
to try to get to these kids.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, they couldn't. But it's all seconds that matter. It was a kitchen fire that went up, spread to the house, balloon construction, and by the time we got there, with the delay in the call to us, we were behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the grabs that they did make, none of the kids survived. So
do they know where they found the kids? Do you know where?
It was.
It's usually specific places that we
always
see
it was
where they see them.
I believe one of the babies was still in the crowd. Wow. I mean, it kind of it was a sad scene because it's like any adult seemed to go like out for self. And, as a father and, you do this job, you're trying to, the adults got out, the adults survived with minor burns, or, some burns, but none of the kids made it out. So it sat heavy with the whole department that you go through that. And like I said,
you said this was in
94.
So 94, like I know, as things went on, we started getting, things and debriefs and things like that. Did they have that for you at that time? Because I know it was a different time. So it was more like, hey, buddy, go ahead, go to the next one.
Yeah,
that stuff sits with your heart.
It does.
In your mind. So did they have anything for that?
They didn't. They
nothing against the fire department at the time. It's just we didn't know.
Father D'Angelo. I don't know.
In the heart of Blue Point, New York, the Johnny Mac Foundation stands as a beacon of hope and resilience. Founded in memory of FDNY firefighter John F. McNamara, who lost his life to 9/11 related cancer, this foundation embodies his enduring motto, whatever it takes. To supporting first responders and their families, the the Johnny Mac Foundation is committed to making a long-lasting impact. Join us in honoring John's legacy and making a difference. Visit at johnnymacfoundation.org to learn more and contribute.
D'Angelo, I don't know if you had the opportunity to know him. I've known him throughout my 30 years. Father D'Angelo was the fire department chaplain for a lot of companies and a lot of departments, I should say. He would come and he would talk to people, and he would always come around. But they didn't really have peer counseling back then or anything else.
It was that.
Recently, we had one of our members unfortunately passed in a car accident in our jurisdiction. Our members were working. Yeah, it was.
That's rough.
I didn't make it to the scene, but one of my newest drivers from the truck was there, and he like textbook. He did what he had to do. His first major pin, he did everything he had to do. They had the peer counseling. I went and I sat next to him. Yeah. I was like, "You're gonna go." I was like, "I'm telling you as a captain,
you're gonna go. You gotta go."
I've sat through counseling before with other people, just on the job. Cops, firemen, they don't like to go to counseling. No. So it's like, I might not have been there, but I'm going to go to counseling with you
just
because
so you're comfortable.
Right.
I'm a leader right there.
I'm going to break your balls about tons of other things. 90% of the people that see me, if you know me, we've already had laughs.
Yes.
We know people, and you ask them, we're going to laugh, we're going to break balls, and it's just, but when it comes down to that, if you want me to stand by you and I'll sit there with you. I'll tell my stories.
Yep.
And it's just, you just do that.
And we all do it together. We all cry together. If it is what it is, we're here for each other.
One of my trainees is a sergeant now and from the police. And she told me, she's like, "Rob, you're my forever FTO." So even till I've been retired for a year and a half, I'll get phone calls. "Hey, it wasn't a ground ball. What do you think about this scenario?" Yeah. And it's just like, you build that respect with when you have your guys.
That's right.
And, you got to lift them up, and then you got to be there to tell them, okay, you did this, but you could have done this. I'm not going to, yell at somebody.
But you're there to show them.
When I need to,
To hear that, with the person you were talking about, they still did everything that they were supposed to do.
Yes.
That is just, that's a testament to training.
Right.
Right? Muscle memory of knowing,
and
this is what I'm going to do. This is this. Right. This is that. This is that. Right? That's that muscle memory. And I've always been taught, train like your life depends on it, because it does.
Just like from Green Lawn, my instructor Timmy smacking the helmet away from me, or like you said with Cameron kicking the glove, little things like that.
Let me tell them what we were talking about. We were talking about off air. For the audience, we're talking about off air about training and how what'd you say they would.
Timmy Burke was one of our training officers, and he would mess with he friends with me. He wasn't doing maliciously, but if you were scotting up and you didn't have control of your helmet, or you didn't have the strap and have it over your arm, he would kick it out of the way. So it was just especially if you were blacked out going into the mass confidence course, now you had to search for your helmet. Now you had to search for your gloves. And
same thing here. I remember we would train with Cameron Peak. We're up on top of, EAB or one of those over there, and we're blacked out, and you put your gloves to the side. He would kick them straight across. Now you're blacked out, and now you're searching in this area. He's like, you don't put them down. You keep them right here, right next to you, right there. But those are all that training, and those are the things that you remember. You remember when you're on scene in the heat of the moment. You remember, I'm not putting my gloves there, because that can happen in a moment. Right. Everyone's running in, and someone just runs. No one will intentionally kick it, and now it's gone. And now what do you? Now you just become part of the problem. Right. You're in the way. But all right. So we got more stories to get into. But before we get into the stories, we gotta Rob play. We gotta play the game Flashover. Because I gotta get these questions out. I gotta know where you are when it comes to some of these. All right. So Chief, are you ready for the Flashover?
Yes.
Real quick, just for our audience, the Flashover is basically a game we play. I'm going to ask Rob a question or compare two things, maybe like Android, Apple, or something like that, and he has to give me his answer really quick, all right? So are you ready?
Yes.
Chief, you ready for it?
Well, not Chief yet.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that, of why I'm saying Chief. All right. So, are you ready, Rob, for the Flashover?
Yes, sir.
Let's go. All right. So, drive the rig at a parade or drive the chief truck? Which one you doing?
I guess drive the rig.
Driving the rig?
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. You pull up to that same parade, right? And they say, hey, over here, they're doing a calendar photo shoot. Or over here, they're walking in that parade, 100 degree weather, full Class A.
I'll do the walking in the parade.
You
just
doing it?
Yeah.
No
I'm not a
calendar.
cover model. I'm not a cover. I don't
Not
need to be
doing
the
that.
front man.
Don't
I
need
can lead from the shadows.
I love it. All right, here we go. Brush fire, rocking dumpster fire.
See, the brush fire, which we don't get like you guys get in the Hempstead Plains, but the brush fire, I would say, because it's a game of chess.
Okay.
You got to play the wind. You got to play a lot of different things. You might think it's out on the surface, but it's still burning in roots.
Right.
Could be burning in trees. It could be
top rollover. It's
right.
So real.
It depending on how big the wind is. If you get the wind, I mean, we've had them where
Jump
it's just
highways.
blowing. Right.
Jump
So I
highways.
definitely go with that. It's just more. You see where the firefighters are and
That's right.
the leaders too.
That's right.
You know, because it could change on you in a second.
That's right. All right. Basement fire, warehouse fire.
I'm gonna go with warehouse fire.
Warehouse
because being in the truck, now's your time to shine. Now that big heavy bag of rope that you have sitting in the cab that nobody wants to take, and you got the search rope, you got you got to use the tick and thermal imaging camera.
That's right.
You get all the tools that the district or the department paid for you. Now it's time to put the toys into play.
That's right.
And
get them going.
Exactly.
All right. Confirmed car fire or automatic alarm with a light smoke condition.
I'm gonna go with the light smoke condition.
Right.
Like most of the people on here, it's just
people say that.
it's like
Some people say car fire.
We've walked the halls of this university many times at night with the staff, looking to see and hoping that it wasn't going to be, a fire in one of the rooms. But yeah, I mean, once again, it's more, you got to figure out what the problem is. So it's one of those things where anybody can put, a hose into a dumpster. I mean, back in the day before they started putting holes in the dumpsters, we would just fill the dumpsters up to the top. So there's no tactic. There's no
nothing. All right. Let's keep going here. So it is 2 hours before department critique. 2 hours before. All right. You got your entire crew. Everybody's here with you, right? Do you, right, for those 2 hours, have your guys do another training before the department critique, or do you clean a firehouse?
Well, we'll go with the train. We'll go with the training. Just if we have a lot of people there, it's always good to touch up, especially if we get any new equipment.
That's
or,
right.
Just new things. With all the problems we've been having with hydrants being, just something simple as we went out and threw 2 more shovels. Because not only are you going to have a problem with if they didn't shovel the hydrant, if you got to set up the towel ladders, you can't set up the towel ladder in a snow mound. You're going to need the proper equipment, just something as simple as reminding guys, hey, bad weather, you might have to shovel out for the jacks. You might need to appropriate sand just to put underneath the jacks so we don't slide the truck. It's just, the stuff behind the scenes that's not just pull up, drop the jacks and
do what you got to do.
Yep.
All right. So pull up to a scene. Chief is right there. And Chief says, all right, you guys are going in. There's a hungry rookie right here, salty old vet. Who you taking with you? Chief says it's up to you. Take one of these guys and let's go.
I have a habit of taking a rookie.
Okay.
A lot of these guys, which, like you ask people what their first fire was. I don't remember what my first fire, I remember the first fire I drove to with each of the trucks that I drove. I do not remember, but the other day, the same guy who was who brought the truck to the scene, 1, 2, 3, he did everything. He says to me, we were at another call from mutual aid, and he's like, yeah, I remember when you brought me into my first fire.
Wow.
And I just looked at him and was like, really? Which fire? And it wasn't that long ago. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was a commercial fire. And after he told me, I was like, oh yeah, I remember we did this.
Do remember
and
now.
We did a bunch of stuff, but I just, a lot of the pictures that K2M gets of me is usually running my mouth.
There you go.
And a lot of times if you look, it's somebody with a pumpkin shield.
That you're showing.
And I'm explaining to them the operation.
And showing them how to do it.
Yeah. And
it's the future. Make sure they understand and know and pay. There you go. Pay it forward. I love the way you said it. All right. You should know this because we were kind of talking about this earlier. old school leather helmet or modern composite?
That's why I brought this.
There you go. There it is right there.
This is my
That's
first
the
helmet.
original old school
When
leather.
I first got in, 35 years ago, and I got into the company, it's the leather with no skull cap.
There you go. See, mine's here. That's the newer leather one
Right.
that has a skull. So that's
It's
much
not as
lighter.
heavy. It's the center
So
of
you're going with
gravity is
that one.
lower. Yeah.
All right. Let's keep going here. Midnight call or 5 a.m. call?
I work midnights for a lot of years, so a lot of times you get a lot of good calls at the
Okay.
at midnight.
Okay.
You
So
know.
that's it. So midnight call. All right. So let's keep going. All right. You know what? Let's get into some movies and some TV shows. All right. Let's get into those. All right. Let's get into those. Same thing. You tell me which one you like. If you haven't seen it or anything, just say I haven't seen it, and we move on from there. Okay.
Right.
Ready to go?
Yep.
Chicago Fire, rescue me.
Chicago Fire.
Why Chicago Fire? A lot of people hate that show. But then some people, I love it. I thought it was a great show, but
You know what? Any of these shows aren't based.
it's not what you do.
Yeah. It's not. It's like,
It's a movie.
I haven't binged on all of those. Not like back in the day when we used to watch Emergency.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was the other thing. You don't have Emergency as the question.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was I'm old
We could
school
do that.
way.
We could do Rescue Me Emergency. You're going
go
emergency.
Roy and DeSoto. It was like, obviously, any of these shows never depict the full.
Of
But
what's
yeah.
going on. Yeah.
But that was the growing up. That was the
show right
the
there.
show.
It was someone else that was on the show that said that. That was why they started.
Yeah, I
was
mean,
because of
just-
Emergency.
You see the pictures. It was
There you
like,
go.
We little kids, you did.
Is what you
Yep.
did. All right. Let's get into it. Backdraft, ladder 49. Backdraft, ladder 49.
I have to go with Backdraft because
Okay.
when Backdraft came out, we were in the fire department. So the poster still hangs in the firehouse. If that was it was, oh my God, they made a story about the fire service. Not as realistic as,
But
but
it was still-
it was the hype of the fire service.
That's
So
right.
everybody, it was a notch up for
I
everybody.
love it.
So.
I love it. All right. So, most important question I'm going to ask you today, and you knew it was coming, Rob. You knew it was coming. Engine or truck?
Well, when I was in Greenlawn, I was in the hose company.
Look at that. Let me
So-
see. Show that over.
So yeah.
Yep,
So I was
put
in the
that
hose
around right
company,
there.
but I've always been a truckie. So
And always
I'll
been a
go with the
truckie.
truck.
So we're going with truck. There we go.
Right. Dad would not be happy if
He
you
would
rolling
not-
over.
He heard you say engine.
Right.
He's not
Right,
trying to
right.
hear that. All right. Okay. So, before we get out of here, I got a couple of more questions for you. First, just in a whole, how has being a volunteer firefighter changed your life?
It got me my foot in the door with the police department.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the mentors I had in the police department were guys that were firefighters.
Okay.
A lot of guys that, just being in the fire service, just all walks of life. Mike Kane put a roof, the guy whose father passed away, he put a roof on one of my houses.
Wow.
It just, everybody's interlocked. It's literally like a family. You might not be getting along today, but when something goes down, and like they say, you're fighting in the firehouse until there's a working fire. Once you have a working fire or something like that and it gets busy, everybody comes together and everybody's there. And everybody's there.
Before I ask you my last question, I forgot one question. I got to ask you this. One common myth that you want to debunk about firefighting right now.
We're not paid. We don't get paid to run. Everybody in Hempstead now, we have like a push from the city. So a lot of people are used to Queens, Brooklyn, and they think that, every time, it's no big deal. We just set the smoke alarm off and it's, you guys get paid to come out and do this. Guys have actually argued with people on terrace that while they're putting we don't get paid for this. Yeah. We're not paid, but it's, we actually volunteer. We actually stop what we're doing during the day.
Yep.
Or if, the guys who work for the village have to actually, if they can and their job permits, you stop what you're doing and go answer this call. Hopefully, you be back to work soon.
Or even after raging fire, you do everything you do, take a shower and head right into work.
And that's where it saves the village a lot of money because to have another paid fire department, the municipalities couldn't handle it.
Couldn't handle it. All right. So last question I want to ask you, Rob, just if there's someone listening right now that, just got in the fire department or is in for, that's thinking about getting in, what type of advice would you want to give them?
It's the best thing to do. Aside from taking tests and doing all of that, it's good because you have mentors. I've made phone calls, whether guys realize it or not. I had a friend who just got on to EAB, and
Okay.
I knew a bunch of his instructors. And I'm like, yo, this is a good guy. When I was going through my EMT in Greenlawn, he helped me. He
Yeah.
literally looked out for me. He made sure that I passed my test. It's you got to pick up your guys. And I got through the door. I'm going to bring the next guy through the door.
Okay.
You know,
I love that. I love that. Let's end it right there with that statement right there. You got through the door. You got to bring the next guy through the door. Listen, Rob, thank you so much, man.
No problem.
For coming out. Am I forgetting anything? Is there anything that I'm forgetting?
No, I mean, one more story from 251 Jackson. If you
Let's
go.
do it. Let's
I
do
ended
it.
up getting life-saving with Valor through the police department.
Okay.
Because on this fire, we had people trapped on the balcony. Turns
Is
out
that
it
this
was-
one?
Yes.
This one
that
right here. Okay.
I actually got to work with Charlie. He was one of the chiefs at the time.
Okay.
We had people trapped on the balcony of their apartment. It was a living room and bedroom fire. While they were out there, they're trying to secure ladders to get there.
Mhm.
So I had, my coworkers. It's the building right across from the police department. We have people we know, we see every day. For me, for 30 years, I have
See
people
the
that I
same
know
people.
that live in that building. So they're trying to get ladders to get up there. The fire department was on the way. I went inside. We ended up getting up to the floor and started evacuating people around the fire department.
Yeah.
We secured the door so that the smoke wasn't filling the
Yep, there you
hallway
go.
anymore.
Yep.
And we were just getting people out. Then when finally the fire department got there, they started doing the operation. One of the guys from Ladder 2 went in to do a search of the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I looked in there and I was like, I have no gear. In my PD bag, I used to keep a hood, Nomex hood,
Yeah.
and I used to keep a 30-foot webbing.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had to do a search, I could attach it and go
At least
in.
you could do, yeah.
Correct. But this time it was too hot in the apartment. So he ended up dropping his hydroram in the hallway. And I was like, golden. I had the hydroram. I started going and forcing doors and helping people get out of the building. So I literally, there was like 4 or 5 apartments. We got a whole bunch of people out. I was running back to the stairway and, getting them down. And then eventually,
what's going through your mind when these things are happening, these stories? Like, is it just focus, like tunnel vision? I got to do a job, and I'm going to do this job.
Well,
are you thinking about the emotional part of it, the people,
My
or is
wi-
it more as just I got a job to do, and my job is life and
my
property?
wife says that when she sees me in an emergency situation, it's like a switch.
Okay.
And it's like the jokes get less.
Uh-huh.
But she's like, you just turn something on. And she's like, I can see the way you're thinking, that you're just going through. And
Yep.
I'm a critical overthinker. So I'm always trying to think of what problems are going to come up.
Yeah.
So like in this case, I'm evacuating people. I could see them hitting the standpipe as I'm bringing people down.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Bonds and another guy come up to hit to bring the line into the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who was backing him up drops his helmet. People are running past him. They kick the helmet. He disappears. We don't know where he is.
Wow.
At that fire, Chris Bonds is at the door with water, and I'm backing him up on the line. I have no hair. I have no gear. And he's ready to do the push. He thought it was the other guy from the fire. And I'm like, yo, you can't go in.
Yeah,
I'm going to be
have
burned.
anything.
So we had to stay in the door, and I was backing him up on the hose
You're
line.
knocking it down from
And
the
he's
door.
knocking it down from the door, and he was getting in. And finally somebody got up there, and I'm like, you got to get it. So they were scotted up. They went in, and I went back down, and then we started doing searches. I think over 10 times we went to different apartments. It was me and 2 members of the fire department. And finally I came down, and like you could see the soot on my face.
Yeah.
My sergeant told me, he's like, that's it. He's like, if you don't go and sit on that curb, I'm going to handcuff you to the railing. So it was just like, it's like, no, we got to look for people. I was like, people are telling us this guy's unaccounted for. This guy's unaccounted for.
He's like,
So,
no, go sit down.
right. And which is why like guys like the chief, current chief, Rich Holland, his first fire was 600 Fulton. And he's like, Rob, I've never been in a call before. And I was like, just stay with me. He was a cop then.
Yeah.
I was like, just stay with me. I was like, if it gets too bad, we'll go down. We ended up rescuing a lady, invalid, and a baby.
Wow.
So me and another chief who was retired, he was a cop at the time, Joe Sortino, we ended up, he dressed the baby, and she was an invalid from the legs down,
Wow.
from the knees down. We helped her, got her into the hallway. He literally dressed the baby. I mean, all of us were fathers. So it was like this, we had to get her out. There was no not. So we ended up taking her down from the fire floor and carrying her down. But it's
sure things are good.
Yeah. But that's just it. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do.
You don't think about your safety. You have a job.
Go in
you do
and
it.
start working and have your job. I love it.
Yep.
So earlier, before we were talking about the Firehouse, I was saying, "Hey, Chief," right? There's a reason why I was saying that. If you can let the audience, let everyone know, so you're going to be running for Chief.
Yes.
Okay. So talk a little bit about that. What makes you want to do that? Why are we running for Chief?
I'm following, just like I said, the guys who led the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm following their footsteps. My father was chief. My brother was chief. I mean, there's so many people that I've had the opportunity to meet and through it. And it's like, I want to share, my training and my leadership. I've never had a problem with cops following me into heavy calls with guns. I've never had them have a problem following me into fires. And it's just, I've been a leader a lot of times from the shadows. So
it's your time.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
There we go.
So I'm throwing my hat in the ring, and it's up to the membership if they feel
you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
I love it. Listen, Rob, again, thank you so much, brother, for coming out to the Firehouse and just telling us about your life and your story, your family, legendary in Hempstead. Everyone knows who they are. But again, thank you so much for coming out to the Firehouse. All right. So listen, I hope you all enjoyed that. We just heard from my boy, Rob Hendry from Hempstead in the building, Truck 1, all right, about his life as a firefighter. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation. Please like, share, subscribe, do all of those things. I'm your host, Chris Moses, and please tune in next week to another great conversation in the Firehouse.